Hi kids, it's Bunny with another junk journal, and this one is called Fairy Garden Number 2, and it measures 9 by 6 with a 2.5-inch spine, and it's probably a couple hundred pages. I haven't counted it yet. It is a hardback chipboard with a pretty fabric covering and a fairy dancing with a frog on the cover, and a little pink chiffon-y sash holds it closed. Let's see if I can do this. It's a little bit of a different setup. Try and make it so my back doesn't hurt so much when I do this. And okay, here we go. And in the first pocket on the cover, we have a little miniature envelope. And inside the miniature envelope is a couple of vintage foreign stamps. And we have journaling cards, which are blank on the back, so you can write on them. And a tag. The tags are also blank on the back, so you can write on them. I'm casting a shadow. Bear with me here. And I have a little note about how to use the book for those who aren't familiar with junk journals. Okay. And I'm using a beautiful kit by, I wrote it down and a piece of paper has disappeared, by Fable Crafts Art on Etsy. And they make some beautiful fairy images, which I'm using in this journal. In this lace pocket with applique on it, we have a 3D tag and a journaling card. Excuse my shaking, I'm a shaky person. And a vintage photograph. And these I have to put back because I can't just throw them down because they'll slide off. A doily. Here is some vintage sheet music, the cover for some sheet music. And ledger paper with a little surprise inside. Here is a page from an Edith Holden book. Wonderful artist and naturalist. In this pocket we have more journaling cards, and here is some vintage ephemera. It's an envelope, it's empty, airmail envelope. I'm not sure what the year is, but it's very old. It might be, it's early 20th century, if not older. And here we have some vellum paper. And we have some pages from vintage books. This is a vintage receipt from a drug company. More vintage books. This is a page out of a 1928 high school yearbook. And it has little autographs on it and everything. It's really neat. And this is some handmade paper with flower petals embedded. Most of the paper is coffee dyed, and I did a lot of the coffee dyeing this time, trying my hand at it. Here's a 1954 newspaper. This is a floating pocket that has, now this is the only piece of ephemera in here that isn't real. This is reproduction money from the Revolutionary War era, but it's not real. But I thought it was so well done, I wanted to include it because it just looks really neat. And this closes with a magnet. Man, I'm really shaky today. I had too much coffee. In this tuck, more beautiful journaling cards, beautiful flowers from the fairy's garden. Here's a vintage photograph of a bunch of schoolgirls, I believe, and there's a tag. If this runs out before I'm done, I might make a part 2, I might not. We'll see. This always overheats before I'm done. More from the newspaper. Handmade paper. More from the yearbook, 1928. This is, I took some texture paste and made this very tactile element in here. I like the way it turned out. More vellum paper. Here we have another pocket with more places on which to journal on the back. And this is a vintage receipt from a wool merchant. Dated, what is the date? 1894. So it's very old, and this is real. And the other side of Edith Holden's pages. Sheet music cover. Sorry if I'm casting shadows. I'm still trying to get a new setup going. And in this pocket, more pretty journaling cards. And a tag. This is a page from a vintage Creole cookbook. I believe 1920s era. And there's some vintage wallpaper, and I put a pretty picture of a flower on the back of it. More vintage sheet music. Journaling cards. Another tag. This tag has a little pocket on the back with a little miniature tag in it. And here is more vintage ephemera and envelope. And then it's got some really neat old postage on it. Nothing inside, but it's still pretty neat to look at. Surprise! This is some beautiful sari fabric from India with beautiful embroidery on it. In this little bag here we have a small vintage photograph. And in this lace pocket we have a miniature notebook. Very little ephemera and some bigger journaling cards for you to write on. Another little bag. This has another miniature envelope in it, which has more vintage foreign stamps, postage. I'll think of the word. More from the old newspaper. And in this tuck, more beautiful journaling cards. And a tag. This one also has a little mini tag on the back. And more ephemera. This is from a very old Singer sewing machine manual. And that's from the early 20th century. Might be 1903 or something. I'm not remembering too well. And as we travel on, there's another vintage photograph, and journaling card, and a tag in a lace pocket with a little applique on it. Lots of little clusters and things throughout. Little things to catch your eye. More vellum paper. This pocket has some journaling cards in it. And a tag. And lots of lace on the edges of pages. More from the 1928 high school yearbook. More handmade paper. Here's another vintage photograph. Some children. And more vintage ephemera, freight bill. This is very old and shabby and beat up. I'm not sure what the date is. 1919, I believe. That's what it says. Here's a little fabric ruffle. More from Edith Holden. She did beautiful, beautiful books about nature. Still recording, yes, still recording. More from the yearbook. Here's some more journaling cards. Another miniature envelope which has foreign vintage stamps in it. More vellum paper. Oh, here's a little snippet of some sari fabric that it's just a little snippet, but it was too pretty to throw away, so I included it. And in this little bag, we have miniature journaling card. Sarah Bernhardt, great actress of her day. More beautiful journaling cards and a tag. And this is an old check from 1920 something. More vintage wallpaper. This is mulberry paper. Has little bits in it. Here's more journaling cards. Very interesting, mysterious ones. This is a really shabby, grubby, tea-stained glycine envelope with some foreign currency in it. Postage, pardon me. And more vintage ephemera. And we made it. No, we didn't. I thought we were at the end, but this is the center of one of the signatures. The lace pocket and some pretty journaling cards. There's a belly band, and in it we have another miniature notebook, a little bit bigger than the other one, but still small. And a beautiful big journaling card. One of my favorites. Beautiful picture. In this pocket we have a vintage photograph, girl and her dolly, and more journaling cards and a tag. I'll neaten that up later. More vintage newspaper and wallpaper, book pages. Actually, this time we are at the end, and we have some journaling cards back here and another bit of ephemera. It's a little letter. And that's it. I made it before the camera overheated. That's the Fairy Journal. I hope you enjoy it and visit my shop soon, Treasure Journals on Etsy. Bye-bye.